The full moon hung low over Chicago's skyline, its pale light filtering through the reinforced windows of Rivera Biotechnology's top-floor laboratory. Dr. Marcus Rivera stood before a bank of holographic displays, his dark eyes reflecting the dance of data streams that documented his latest transformation. Cellular degradation reduced by 60%, he muttered, making notes on his tablet. But the pain threshold remains unchanged. He rubbed his chest where fresh scars marked last night's change, hidden beneath his crisp white lab coat. The door chimed, and his assistant Michael Zhang entered, looking worried. "Dr. Rivera, you need to see this." He gestured to the wall screen, bringing up a live news feed. Astronomical observatories worldwide were tracking multiple objects decelerating from faster-than-light travel, their energy signatures matching no known human technology. The objects were massive, city-sized ships arranging themselves in a holding pattern beyond Mars' orbit. Marcus felt an ancient stirring in his blood, a primal recognition that made his hands shake. "They found us," he whispered. After 500 years, the Viridians had returned to finish their hunt. He dismissed Michael and locked his office door, activating every security protocol. His hands flew across the keyboard, accessing files that hadn't been opened in decades, his grandfather's research, documenting the last great war between werewolves and the alien hunters who had nearly driven them to extinction. The Viridians had first come to Earth during medieval times, drawn by the unique energy signature of lycanthrope transformation. They saw werewolves as an abomination, a threat to the natural order they claimed to protect. Their advanced technology had devastated the once proud packs, forcing the survivors into hiding. Marcus was the last of his kind, as far as he knew. His family had survived by adapting, by learning to hide in plain sight. While other werewolves clung to their traditional ways, the Riveras had embraced science, seeking to understand and control their curse. 3 generations of research had culminated in Marcus's work, a way to maintain human consciousness during transformation, to direct the wolf's power with human intelligence. But he wasn't ready. The treatment was still experimental, dangerous. He needed more time. A sharp pain lanced through his skull, and he stumbled against his desk. The wolf within him was restless, sensing the approach of ancient enemies. Through the window, he watched military jets scramble across the night sky, humanity's first response to the alien arrival. His secure phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Dr. Rivera, this is Major Diana Wells, Earth Defense Force. We know what you are. We know what they're here for. We need to talk." Marcus stared at the message, his mind racing. The EDF was humanity's most elite military unit, created after first contact with hostile alien species decades ago. If they knew about him, about his true nature. Another spasm of pain dropped him to his knees. The wolf was getting stronger, responding to the threat. He could feel his bones trying to shift, muscles attempting to reorganize themselves. With trembling hands, he reached for the injector in his desk drawer, an experimental stabilizer that helped him maintain control. The city's air raid sirens began to wail. Through the window, he watched massive shapes descend through the clouds, Viridian drop ships, their crystalline hulls glowing with ethereal energy. They were coming, just as his grandfather had warned they would. But this time would be different. Marcus pressed the injector against his neck and fired, feeling the cold burn of the serum entering his bloodstream. As his racing heart began to slow, he opened another secure channel on his computer, accessing files he'd hoped never to use. Project Moonlight was his contingency plan, a way to fight back against the Viridians using their own tactics against them. If they feared what werewolves might become, he would show them their worst nightmare, a werewolf who could think, plan, and fight with both human intelligence and bestial power. The building's security system pinged, warning of multiple breaches on the lower floors. They were coming for him specifically, their sensors would have detected his unique biological signature the moment they entered orbit. Marcus took a deep breath, centering himself as his grandfather had taught him. The wolf inside him growled, but this time he didn't fight it. Instead, He reached for the harmony he'd been working toward his entire life, the perfect balance between man and beast. "You want to hunt werewolves," he growled, his voice deepening as the change began. "Let's show them what we've learned in the last 5 centuries." The first Viridian hunter crashed through his office door just as the transformation took hold, and for the first time in his life, Marcus smiled as his humanity fell away. The hunt was on, but this time, the prey was ready to fight back. Major Diana Wells surveyed the ruins of Rivera Biotechnology's top floor, her tactical flashlight illuminating the aftermath of violence. Claw marks scored the reinforced walls, and patches of crystalline residue, all that remained of fallen Viridian hunters, glittered under the emergency lights. "Quite a mess your werewolf made," she said, addressing the shadows. "You can come out now, Dr. Rivera. We need to talk." Marcus emerged from the darkness, his lab coat torn and stained but his movements controlled, precise. The transformation had left him exhausted but clear-headed, his latest serum was working better than expected. "How long has the EDF known about me?" he asked, his voice hoarse. Diana holstered her sidearm. "We've monitored your family for 3 generations. Your grandfather helped establish our first alien defense protocols. We've kept your secret, protected your research. Now we need your help." Outside, the city burned. Viridian ships hung in the sky like suspended diamonds, their energy weapons cutting through Earth's military defenses with contemptuous ease. The air filled with the sound of distant explosions and closer screams. "They're not just hunting werewolves anymore," Diana continued. "They're systematically dismantling our defense capabilities. In 6 hours, they've destroyed 60% of our orbital platforms and major military installations. This is a full invasion." Marcus moved to his backup servers, retrieving data cores. "They're afraid," he said. "My latest research, I've made breakthroughs they couldn't have predicted. The ability to control the transformation, to maintain human consciousness during the change, it changes everything. That's why we're here." Diana gestured, and armored EDF troops emerged from the stairwell, securing the perimeter. "We're evacuating you to a secure facility. Project Moonlight needs to be operational within 48 hours, or there won't be a planet left to defend." Marcus froze. "How do you know about Dash?" "Like I said, we've been watching. Your grandfather's notes suggested the possibility of weaponizing lycanthropy. We need it now, Dr. Rivera. We need an army that can fight the Viridians on equal terms." Before Marcus could respond, alarms blared throughout the building. Through the shattered windows came a high-pitched whine, the sound of Viridian drop ships descending. "They're coming back," Marcus growled, feeling the wolf stir within him. "In greater numbers this time." Diana checked her tactical display. "Multiple hostile signatures, converging on our position. We need to move." But Marcus wasn't listening. He stood perfectly still, his enhanced senses picking up something else, a subtle vibration running through the building's frame, a rhythm that spoke to the predator inside him. "They're not just coming from above," he said. "They're already here. In the walls, the foundation. They've surrounded us." Diana cursed, switching to thermal imaging. The building's infrastructure lit up with moving heat signatures, dozens of Viridian hunters, scaling the interior support structures like insects. "New plan," Marcus said, reaching for another injector. "I'll hold them here. Buy you time to reach the secondary lab across town. Everything you need for Project Moonlight is there, research, samples, protocols." "That's suicide," Diana protested. "Even a werewolf can't fight those numbers." Marcus smiled, and there was something of the wolf in it. "Watch me. But first." He removed a small case from his safe, handing it to Diana. "My blood samples, properly preserved. If I don't make it, you'll need them to continue the work." The first Viridian hunter burst through the floor in a shower of concrete and steel. Its crystalline armor gleamed, faceted surfaces housing weapon ports and sensor arrays. More followed, their alien forms unfolding like deadly origami. Marcus felt the change coming, stronger than ever. But this time, he embraced it fully, letting the wolf's power flow through him while maintaining his human mind. His consciousness expanded, becoming something new, neither fully human nor fully wolf, but a perfect synthesis of both. "Go," he roared, his voice distorting as his form began to shift. "I'll find you when it's done." Diana hesitated for just a moment, then barked orders to her team. They moved with practiced efficiency, securing the samples and falling back to their extraction point. The Viridian hunters moved to intercept, but Marcus was faster. His transformed body crashed into their ranks like a force of nature, claws finding weak points in alien armor, enhanced strength ripping through materials engineered to withstand space combat. The battle became a blur of motion and violence. Marcus's scientific mind analyzed their patterns even as his wolf instincts anticipated their movements. He was outnumbered but not outmatched, using the confined space to his advantage, forcing the hunters to cluster and interfere with each other's fields of fire. Through it all, he maintained control, directing the wolf's rage with surgical precision. Each strike was calculated, each movement purposeful. He was proving his grandfather's theories correct: lycanthropy could be more than a curse. It could evolve, adapt, become something the Viridians had never anticipated. The fight carried them through multiple floors, a running battle that reduced huge sections of the building to rubble. But Marcus couldn't maintain this level of activity forever. The strain of controlled transformation was taking its toll, and the hunters kept coming. Finally, surrounded and bleeding from multiple wounds, Marcus backed against a broken window. 40 stories below, the streets were chaos. Above, more drop ships approached. The lead hunter stepped forward, its crystalline helm splitting open to reveal an alien face filled with disgust. "Abomination," it said in perfect English. "Your kind should have died centuries ago." Marcus laughed, a sound that was half growl. "We didn't die. We evolved. And now?" He glanced at his tactical display, noting that Diana's team had cleared the area. "Now we're going to teach you why that was your biggest mistake." He triggered the building's self-destruct sequence, another contingency he'd planned for just such an occasion. As the structure began to collapse, he gave himself fully to the wolf's power and leaped into the night, leaving the hunters to their fate. There would be more battles to come. The war was just beginning. But for the first time in centuries, the hunters had become the hunted, and Marcus Rivera intended to show them exactly what that meant. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a facility that didn't officially exist, Marcus Rivera watched through reinforced glass as the first volunteer received his treatment. Captain James Rodriguez lay strapped to a medical bed, his body convulsing as Marcus's enhanced blood rewrote his genetic code. Heart rate climbing, Dr. Lisa Chen reported, monitoring vital signs. Blood pressure 200/120 and rising. Cellular reconstruction at 30%. Marcus pressed his hand against the glass, his enhanced senses picking up the subtle changes in Rodriguez's scent. The captain had been the first to volunteer after the briefing, understanding the risks but willing to take them to defend Earth. Now he was becoming something new, hopefully something that could turn the tide of war. Temperature 104 and climbing, Lisa announced. Beginning stabilization protocol. Above ground, the war wasn't going well. The Viridians had established beachheads on every continent, their crystalline citadels rising from the ruins of major cities. Conventional military forces were being systematically destroyed, and orbital defense platforms fell silent one by one. But here, in this underground lab, humanity was preparing its counterattack. Project Moonlight had gone from theoretical to operational in less than a week, with Marcus working around the clock to perfect the transformation process. His own blood, refined and enhanced through decades of research, was the key to creating controlled werewolves, soldiers who could maintain human intelligence while wielding supernatural strength. Major Diana Wells entered the observation room, her uniform bearing new scorch marks. "We lost Denver," she reported grimly. The Viridians are pushing east. We need these soldiers combat-ready yesterday. You can't rush this, Marcus replied, not taking his eyes off Rodriguez. Push them too fast, and we risk losing control. The wolf's power has to be balanced with human consciousness, or we're just creating monsters. Rodriguez's back arched as another spasm hit him. His skin rippled, muscles reorganizing themselves beneath the surface. But unlike Marcus's first transformations, this was controlled, directed by the carefully engineered retroviruses in his enhanced blood. Transformation reaching critical phase, Lisa announced. Neural patterns holding steady. He's maintaining consciousness through the change. Marcus allowed himself a small smile. It was working better than he'd dared hope. Rodriguez's transformation was proceeding exactly as planned, the careful balance of scientific precision and primal power creating something unprecedented. The facility shook slightly, distant explosions from the surface battle reaching even this deep. The Viridians were getting closer, as if they sensed what was happening beneath the mountain. How many more volunteers are ready? Diana asked, checking her tactical display. 20 in the first wave, Marcus replied. All special forces, all extensively screened for psychological stability. Once Rodriguez's transformation is complete, we can begin processing them in groups of 5. And you're sure they'll be combat ready? Marcus nodded. The engineered version of lycanthropy works faster than the natural strain. Full integration of abilities should take less than 48 hours. After that. He paused as Rodriguez's transformation entered its final phase. After that, we'll have something the Viridians have never faced before. Through the glass, Rodriguez's body completed its first change. Where a human soldier had laid strapped to the bed, now a massive wolf-like form tested its restraints. But the eyes were still human, alert and aware. Rodriguez turned his head, looking directly at Marcus, and nodded once. Neural patterns stable, Lisa confirmed. Consciousness fully maintained through transformation. He's in complete control. Diana let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. How long until he can change back? That's the beauty of the engineered strain, Marcus said. The change is controllable in both directions. Rodriguez? The wolf form on the bed closed its eyes, concentrating. Gradually, the transformation reversed itself, leaving the captain human again, although his body showed the enhanced musculature and definition that came with the change. That was. Rodriguez's voice was hoarse but clear. That was incredible. The power, the awareness, but I never lost myself. I was in control the whole time. Marcus turned to Diana. Begin processing the next group. We've proved the concept works. Now we need to build our pack. But before Diana could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. Red emergency lights began flashing as the mountain shook more violently than before. Multiple breaches detected, the security system announced. Unknown energy signatures penetrating levels 1 through 5. Hostile forces incoming. Marcus felt his blood run cold. They found us. But how? Diana was already moving, barking orders into her comm unit. All security teams to designated positions. Initiate Protocol Omega. Evacuate all critical personnel and research materials. No, Marcus said, his voice carrying the hint of a growl. We don't run. Not this time. He turned to Rodriguez, who was already getting up from the bed. Captain, how do you feel about a field test? Rodriguez grinned, and there was something of the wolf in his expression. Ready and willing, sir. Just point me at the enemy. Marcus nodded to Lisa. Begin processing the next group immediately. Use the accelerated protocol, we don't have time for the gradual approach anymore. He turned to Diana. Major, I need you to hold the upper levels for 30 minutes. Give us time to get at least 10 more soldiers through the change. Consider it done, Diana replied, drawing her weapon. But what about you? Marcus was already removing his lab coat, his eyes beginning to glow with inner fire. The Viridians came here hunting werewolves. Rodriguez and I are going to remind them why they feared us in the first place. As if in response to his words, the facility shook again as Viridian energy weapons began cutting through the mountain's defenses. The hunt was on, but this time, humanity's hunters were ready to meet them. The mountain facility shook with the force of multiple explosions as Viridian energy weapons carved through layers of reinforced concrete and steel. Marcus Rivera led his transformed soldiers through maintenance tunnels, their enhanced senses guiding them through the darkness. Behind them, the sounds of combat echoed as Major Diana Wells and her conventional forces engaged the first wave of alien hunters. Status report, Marcus growled into his tactical comm, his voice rough with partial transformation. He'd learned to maintain a halfway state, balancing between human and wolf forms for maximum control. 10 successful transformations, Dr. Lisa Chen's voice crackled back. The accelerated protocol worked. They're combat ready, but untested. Captain Rodriguez moved alongside Marcus, his new form a perfect fusion of military discipline and predatory grace. The other transformed soldiers followed, their movements synchronized with instinctive pack behavior that Marcus had never seen in natural werewolves. Remember your training, Marcus addressed the group. The Viridians rely on energy weapons and crystalline armor. Their tech is advanced, but it's brittle under extreme physical pressure. Work in pairs, strike hard and fast, and most importantly, maintain control. The tunnel ahead exploded inward as a Viridian drilling vehicle burst through the rock face. Crystalline armor plates shifted and reformed as alien hunters emerged, their weapons charging with ethereal light. Now! Marcus roared, and his pack attacked. The battle that followed was unlike anything in Earth's military history. The transformed soldiers moved with supernatural speed and strength, their enhanced bodies shrugging off energy blasts that would have vaporized normal humans. They fought with military precision guided by predatory instinct, targeting weak points in alien armor with devastating effectiveness. Rodriguez led one team up the walls and ceiling, using their ability to defy gravity to attack from impossible angles. Another group, led by Lieutenant Sarah Martinez, demonstrated the pack tactics they developed in training, herding Viridian hunters into kill zones where their overlapping fields of fire became a liability. Marcus moved through the chaos like a force of nature, his centuries of experience combined with scientific enhancement making him nearly unstoppable. But even as he fought, his enhanced senses detected something odd about the Viridians' tactics. They were holding back, almost as if they're scanning us, he realized suddenly. This isn't just an attack, it's data collection. As if confirming his suspicion, a new figure emerged from the Viridian ranks. Taller than the hunters, its crystalline armor more elaborate, it moved with an authority that marked it as a commander. When it spoke, its voice carried through the battle noise with unnatural clarity. The abomination speaks truth, it announced. We have what we needed. Now we will show you why your kind was never meant to exist. The commander raised its arm, and a pulse of energy swept through the tunnel. Marcus felt it like ice in his blood, some kind of resonance weapon tuned specifically to lycanthrope biology. Around him, his soldiers stumbled, their transformations fluctuating wildly. This is why we hunted you, the commander continued. Not because of what you were, but because of what you might become. The power to remake life itself, to bridge the gap between flesh and spirit, it was never meant for lesser beings. Marcus fought through the pain, forcing his body to stabilize. You're afraid, he snarled. Not of what we are, but of what we represent. Evolution. Change. Everything your crystalline perfection can't achieve. The commander's armor shifted, revealing more weapon ports. We are the guardians of natural order. Your existence is an offense against the universe itself. And now that you've shown us the full extent of your violation. It never finished the sentence. Diana's voice cut through all comm channels, fire in the hole. The ceiling exploded downward as Diana's forces detonated precisely placed charges, bringing tons of rock down on the Viridian position. Marcus and his soldiers leaped clear, their enhanced reflexes saving them from being crushed. But when the dust settled, the Viridians had vanished, retreated through some hidden technology rather than risk being trapped. "They'll be back," Rodriguez said, helping Martinez stabilize her transformation. "And now they know what we can do." Marcus nodded, his mind racing. The resonance weapon was new, a direct counter to their lycanthrope abilities. But more importantly, the commander's words had revealed something crucial about their enemy's true nature. "Get everyone back to the lab," he ordered. "I need to check something in my grandfather's records. I think I finally understand what this war is really about." Diana emerged from a side tunnel, her armor scorched but intact. "Care to share with the class?" Marcus looked at his transformed soldiers, at what human science and determination had achieved in mere days. "The Viridians aren't just hunting werewolves," he said. "They're hunting human potential itself. And I think I know why." The facility's remaining sensors detected multiple Viridian ships converging on their position. Whatever Marcus had realized, they'd have to act on it quickly. The next battle would determine not just the fate of Project Moonlight, but possibly the future of human evolution itself. The Viridian mothership hung in low Earth orbit like a crystalline mountain, its faceted surfaces reflecting the light of a moon that had watched over countless battles between hunters and werewolves. Now, as Marcus Rivera studied the massive vessel from the cockpit of a stolen Viridian shuttle, he understood that the ancient conflict had always been leading to this moment. Grandfather's records were clear, he explained to the strike team assembled in the shuttle's hold. The Viridians aren't just aliens, they're self-appointed guardians of evolution itself. They travel from world to world, eliminating species they deem too dangerous to the natural order. Captain Rodriguez, maintaining his hybrid form like the others, checked his weapons. "And werewolves qualified because we represent unlimited adaptability," Marcus said. "Natural werewolves were just the beginning, a spontaneous mutation that showed humanity's potential to transcend its own biology. When they found us centuries ago, they saw what we might become. What we've actually become now. The shuttle's stolen codes got them through the mothership's outer defenses. Behind them, Earth's remaining military forces engaged the Viridian fleet in a desperate battle to buy them time." Major Diana Wells' voice crackled over their secure channel, coordinating the attack from the ground. "Their resonance weapons are deployed across all ships," she reported. "Whatever you're going to do up there, do it fast. We can't hold them much longer." Marcus led his team through crystalline corridors, their enhanced senses alert for patrols. The mothership's interior was a maze of geometric perfection, every surface precisely aligned, every angle exact. It was architecture that rejected the very concept of evolution or change. They encountered the first heavy resistance outside what Marcus's enhanced senses identified as a major power node. The battle was fierce but brief. The transformed soldiers had learned from their previous encounter, moving too fast for the resonance weapons to lock on, striking from multiple angles with coordinated precision. "They're hurting us," Lieutenant Martinez observed as they fought their way deeper into the ship. "These aren't random patrols. They're directing our movement." "Good," Marcus replied, his voice a growl. "Because we're counting on it." The team's true target wasn't the ship's weapons or engines, but something far more fundamental. Marcus had discovered it in his grandfather's final notes, the secret of why the Viridians feared werewolves so much. They burst into a vast chamber at the ship's heart. Crystalline columns pulsed with energy, and in the center, a structure like a frozen fountain rose toward the ceiling. The Viridian commander from the mountain facility waited for them, flanked by elite hunters. "So," it said, its voice resonating through their bones, "you've come to see the source of our power. The wellspring of order itself." Marcus stepped forward, his form shifting between human and wolf as he maintained perfect balance between both natures. "We've come to end this. Not just the war, but the interference. Humanity will evolve as it chooses, not as you decree. You understand nothing, the commander declared. We are the guardians of cosmic law. For millions of years, we have maintained the boundaries of acceptable evolution. Species that develop unlimited adaptability threaten the very fabric of reality. Your werewolves were dangerous enough in their natural form. But this. It gestured at the transformed soldiers. This union of science and supernatural power. This cannot be permitted. The chamber hummed with power as weapons charged on both sides. But Marcus was smiling, and there was both wolf and human in his expression. You're right about one thing, he said. We do threaten your version of reality. Because we've proved that evolution isn't about maintaining order, it's about embracing change. Adapting. Growing. Everything you fear. He nodded to Rodriguez, who activated the device they'd brought, a miniature version of the resonance weapon, but reversed, its frequencies tuned to crystalline structures instead of organic matter. The effect was immediate. The chamber's perfect geometry began to shift, crystals growing and changing in random patterns. The Viridian hunters stumbled, their armor losing cohesion as the rigid order they relied on began to break down. Impossible, the commander growled. Our form is perfect, unchanging. Nothing is unchanging, Marcus replied. That's what you never understood. Life adapts. Evolution isn't a threat to the universe, it's how the universe grows. And humanity? We're just getting started. The battle that followed was chaos incarnate. The transformed soldiers fought with everything they had, their hybrid nature, the very adaptability the Viridians feared, letting them survive as the chamber's crystalline structure went into cascade failure. The commander's perfect form cracked and splintered, unable to adapt to the changing conditions. Fall back to the shuttle. Marcus ordered as the chain reaction spread throughout the ship. Diana, tell Earth forces to prepare for debris. The mothership's going down. They fought their way back through disintegrating corridors as the great ship began to tear itself apart. Not just from physical damage, but from the fundamental contradiction they'd introduced into its ordered systems. The Viridians had built their technology on absolute stability, and now that stability was their undoing. Marcus was the last one into the shuttle, launching just as the mothership's crystalline structure finally shattered. In orbit above Earth, the rest of the Viridian fleet was already retreating, their perfect formation breaking apart as the resonance effect spread from ship to ship. They'll be back, Rodriguez said as they descended through the atmosphere. Maybe not for centuries, but they'll return. Marcus watched the mothership's remains burn up in the atmosphere, a shower of crystalline fragments that caught the moonlight like falling stars. Let them come, he said. Humanity will keep evolving, keep adapting. And next time, we'll be ready. Diana's voice came over the comm, tired but triumphant. The Viridian fleet is in full retreat. Whatever you did up there, it worked. Earth is safe. Marcus looked at his transformed soldiers, at what humanity had achieved when pushed to its limits. They were something new in the universe, not just werewolves, not just humans, but living proof that evolution couldn't be contained or controlled. The moon hung full and bright in the sky as they returned to Earth. For centuries, it had been a symbol of the curse of lycanthropy. Now it would stand for something else. The night humanity proved that its greatest strength was its ability to change, to adapt, to become something more than anyone, even self-appointed guardians of cosmic order, could have predicted. The hunt was over. The future was just beginning.